What if it was whoever ran fewer ads? What if it was whoever ran better ads? I'm here because I've had a spiritual transformation, and I've decided that I'm going to spend the next years of my life trying to figure out how to reduce the sustainability impact that the internet, and specifically digital ads, have on the environment. Well, I mean, for one thing, the world's kind of on fire. We have glaciers melting, and we have villages and islands being swallowed up by rising tides, and it's 50 degrees in Pakistan right now. If we don't do this now, when are we going to do it? It feels like we only have a few years to make this impact, and for each of us individually, either we make a change happen, or we're going to regret it, and our kids are going to regret it, and hundreds of millions of people are going to suffer because we waited. So I sort of randomly fell into digital advertising in the early 2000s, and by just trying to experiment with how to make advertising better, I ended up inventing a lot of the technology behind programmatic advertising. All the things that make ads follow us around the internet are because there's probably 1 million servers in cloud computing centers and data centers around the world trying to match people with the most effective ad. So that was great economically. It helped fund journalism, it helped small businesses find customers, but it also has a huge impact on the environment. And so after we sold AppNexus, my previous company, I started to learn more about real-world supply chains. How do goods get around the world through the Suez Canal, or maybe get stuck? And what does that mean for carbon? How do we think about the carbon footprint of everything around us? And I guess I was surprised that the digital world, that the internet had such a big impact. I kind of thought that all the emissions were from the real world, but it turns out that things like Bitcoin and crypto and ad tech and MarTech and all these things that just require so much computing power have a real impact. Something like 3 or 4% of all the electricity in the world is used by the internet. And so what we do as technologists, as people in the digital advertising space, on one side, we fund all of this. Search is free because of us, because of ads. Facebook's free, TikTok's free. All this stuff is free because of advertising, but it's not free for the climate. It's not free for the environment. And so that's what I think we all need to understand, is if we can make marketing technology, advertising technology more carbon efficient, we can still fund journalism. We can still fund TikTok. I don't know if that's journalism, but it's pretty fun, without having this huge impact. We don't have to make a trade-off, but we have to do our part. Yeah, so the crazy idea behind Scope 3 was, what if we could measure the carbon footprint of every single ad on the internet? So every web page, every mobile app, every digital out-of-home screen on the metro, every single place you'd see an ad digitally, could we trace back all the sources of carbon to the brand or advertiser? Actually, France is interesting because you have got these new laws that say that you have to put the emissions from car ads on billboards. That's basically what we're doing. We're saying that if you're going to advertise for something, we need to know the footprint of the whole process. And then brands and technology companies can make choices about where to spend money, how to spend money. This encourages sales houses and publishers to reduce their impact. And if you think about this, this goes all the way through the value chain so that we can help people use real data to make really good informed choices about whether this euro or this dollar that you spend is worth the carbon. That's how we have to all act as consumers. If I buy a plastic water bottle, okay, I'm thirsty, but was it really worth the cost of, that plastic and that water coming from somewhere else? So this is all the same basic idea. Carbon has to be a part of every decision we all make. Yeah, so what I imagine is that if you think about Numberly, you're managing these large budgets for clients and you're thinking about how do we spend these in the most carbon efficient way. And one thing that's really cool is that your team's already thinking about, well, what's the impact of sending an email versus running a programmatic campaign? Well, what if we take that to the next level and say, if you're a publisher, if you're a Le Monde or L'Equipe or other publishers, maybe we should offer a carbon neutral advertising product. Maybe we should let people buy in a carbon neutral way. Maybe we can reduce our impact, because that would cause you to spend more money with those publishers. That's a virtuous cycle. They do the right thing for the climate and you spend more money. And that drives other channels to say, well, wait a second, I want that money. Maybe I should lower my footprint. That's the opposite of how the world works right now. Right now, it's whoever runs more ads gets more money. What if it was whoever ran fewer ads? What if it was whoever ran better ads? That's how the world should work, and that's how everything should work. We should consume fewer things that are better. What I'd love to see is that the impact in 3 or 4 years is that the quality of everything goes up, that we have better advertising that's respectful of consumers, that's respectful of the planet, on publishers that are actually doing the right thing, and we should see this in all of our everyday products too. We should do fewer things that are better, and that changes consumption. That changes the global economy. So that's dreaming, you said. Well, dreaming is what we can do here is going to fundamentally change the way we think about consumption, the way we think about the economy, the way that we build the environment to every decision will make every single thing we do better.